Well, yeah, as our listeners may have gathered from our many episodes, I feel like you are somebody who has a much lower tolerance for things like this compared to me.
Wow. I wouldn't say that at all, Justin. I don't think the listeners feel this way either. I think that they find me to be peaceful. I think that they find me to be
So tolerant. So tolerant of other people's perspectives.
Very tolerant, Justin. I never yell. I never blame. And I never name call. I just won't do it. It's not who I am.
So true, Geoff. So true.
I know, I'm saintly. It's hard to be around me, I know. That's why I try to make myself look bad sometimes so that you can, prop yourself up a little bit higher.
And we appreciate that. We appreciate that, Geoff. Yeah.
You most of all.
Yeah.
And you've told me many times off air, "Oh, Geoff, thanks so much. You made me look really good today. Appreciate you dumbing yourself down for me."
Every single week I say that to you. Yeah. We're all trying to find the guy who did this and give him a spanking. Justin.
Raspberries. Geoff. And welcome to Bants.
Geoff, good morning.
Good Easter morning. Christos Anesti, as they say.
Yes, Goob Easter. Are you celebrating?
Well, I'm not religious like that. I don't believe in the religion. But I am going to Greek Easter, Anna's parents' house, which will be fun.
Yes, I hear that you guys are doing karaoke over there.
Oh, we're doing karaoke. You gotta bust out the machine.
Very on brand. Very on brand.
I think I'm gonna do a little Whitney Houston today.
Okay.
I'm feeling emotional.
Aren't you always?
The song emotional.
Oh,
but
okay.
Always that too. Always feeling that way as well. But the song emotional, I think I'm gonna do it. Ain't it shocking what love can do? How about that?
Sounds great. Save the rest for karaoke at Easter, for sure.
Oh, you don't want to hear any more?
I'm just saying, the listeners,
Where that came from.
I feel like you shouldn't give that away for free, You gotta actually go to karaoke.
Preserve la voix, as they say.
Yeah, it's very important.
They say a lot of things today.
Yes. Speaking of today.
Today is the day of our Lord. He's risen again to cleanse humanity from all of its sins.
God is dead. But
okay,
this weekend is also opening weekend for the film Sinners, which we will be talking about later this episode. Can't wait to have that conversation.
Oh, we got to get into it because I got thoughts.
I'm so interested. I'm very curious to hear what you think. What else have you had going on this weekend other than Easter and Sinners?
Well, Justin, I went to a fabulous garden party yesterday.
Wow.
Martha Stewart found dead, by the way, at this house that I went to yesterday. I went out with Allie, our friend Allie.
Mm-hmm.
I went to visit her for the day, and I had this event in Woodstock I had to go to for work. And it was like to benefit this. It was like a house party, a garden party to benefit this land trust. This place was incredible. It was like an hour away. It was way up in Woodstock, northeast corner, quiet corner. Not a lot going on there. A lot of wealth. A lot of rich old white people. Very white place. I think by the time, and in that group of people that were there, firstly, Allie and I were the youngest by far, except for somebody's grandkids that were there.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody was so delighted, and they wanted to talk to us and be like, "What are you doing here? Who are you guys?" And, Allie is Italian, and she's got that nice olive tone skin. So it was basically like two people of color rolled up to this party. A little two peppercorns sprinkled amongst the cheese.
Oh no, these people are so old that Italian is still a minority. That's what we're talking about.
That's exactly what we're talking. But it was fun. Everybody was very nice. There were no microaggressions, which I always appreciate. We hate those. Yeah, I got to shake hands, say hello. It was like for work. So I had to be like a little professional. But it was so beautiful. This lady has like 42 acres of land, a true estate. I can't even imagine. And 3 of those acres are like fenced in, and she has like gorgeous gardens like that she has done herself. She's like, I have people who mow for me, but like I lived here for 40 years, and over all those years I've like planted everything here. And she's got like a sunken garden, a reflecting pool, a waterfall with like a little seating area, like 5 different pergolas, And these daffodils, Justin, woo, they were knee-high, they were bright, they were blooming. It was really beautiful. So that was what I did yesterday.
Wow.
But yeah, I was going to ask you what you did.
Oh, okay. Sure. Well, obviously I saw the film Sinners, a banger, in my opinion.
Obviously, as did I.
And I also I don't know, Brandy is actually up in Connecticut for Easter, so I'm single parenting down here with the dogs.
I'm seeing your wife today, Justin.
Enjoy that.
Oh, I will, believe me.
Brandy's also going to be in Boston to watch the marathon on Monday. So...
Oh, she's not running it?
No, she's not running it. No,
I thought that's why she was here.
No, she's in town because she's in town for her family's Easter celebration, and then she has some friends who are running Boston, so she's stopping up there and cheering them on.
Fun. We love Marathon Monday.
You gotta watch
Marathon. Gotta love Marathon Monday. Patriots Day.
Yes, as they call it in Boston.
They
Boston
sure do.
strong. Boston strong.
Hashtag Boston strong.
So I've just mostly been like chilling. I've been getting some chores done, making sure the apartment's clean for when Brandy returns, spending a lot of quality time with the dogs.
Boy, you better. Brandy's gonna be pissed if she comes home and the house is a mess.
You know that I'm trying my best over here, okay?
Well, sometimes, Justin, your best is not good enough for brands.
Obviously, Brandy is the more, let's say, detail-oriented of the two of us.
Yeah, by the way, what's going on over your shoulder here? What is this contraption sitting here in front of your front door?
That's a drying rack for clothing.
Fire hazard. Fire hazard. You're fired. You're a terrible parent. Blocking the fire egress.
What are you talking about, fire egress?
Examine that.
You can still exit that way. It's just the angle of the camera.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure. I don't know about that.
Trust me. I've been going in and out. I've been taking the dogs out to walk.
Okay.
Anyway, right. so it's been a pretty chill weekend, which I've enjoyed. Yeah, so just enjoying the warm weather. It's springtime.
Wow, are you saying that the weekend is more chill when Brandy's not there?
No,
Interesting.
I'm saying that it's nice for me to not have a ton of plans over the weekend, is what I'm saying.
That's very lovely. Weather's been great. It was 80 degrees in Connecticut yesterday. Can you believe?
It was similar in DC.
Actually, 82 when I was in Woodstock. But mama, I was wearing long pants and a sweater.
A sweater?
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is going to be so cute. Bought a cute, like, light blue sweater.
Oh, not light blue.
Pastelish vibes. For, Eastery, springy, pastel. I don't really do pastels because, as we know, I'm a winter. Pastels don't agree with me too much. But this blue was marled, so it had some dark blue in it, And
sure.
A little bit of white. Still sort of dressed to my palate. But it was hot. It was hotter than Hades. Sweat dripping down. Sweat dripping down. Had a little swamp ass on the way home.
That's a little tough. I was not wearing a sweater and long pants yesterday. I was wearing shorts, and I was wearing a t-shirt.
Justin, I love that for you, and I wish that had been my outfit of choice. But for whatever reason, let's talk about this for a second. I think we need to get rid of this idea that in order to be dressed up as a man, you have to wear long pants. What's that all about? I can wear shorts and still look professional.
I agree with you in theory, but I think that the social norm is so strong. Like, I would just never wear shorts to work. I just simply would not.
I think we gotta get rid of this foolishness.
I mean, the other thing is that I think that what kind of shorts are in style for men right now, although, as we discussed in our prior episode, I'm an old man. So
yeah, maybe
my sense of style isn't really what's hip with the youths. But at least most of the shorts that I have are like, above the knee, relatively short shorts.
Short shorts. Hoochie daddy.
We're not talking like booty shorts, of course, but relatively short to the point where some older people at my workplace might be like, that's an interesting choice. You know what I mean? Like, the yams are out.
I do know what you mean. But we gotta air out the gams and the yams.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta air them both out. But this is my thing. I just feel like, let's get rid of these social norms. Like, why didn't these die with COVID too?
Well, a lot of things did die with COVID, but I think what didn't...
A lot of people in our country.
That, for sure. I think that if you were at an outdoor event, I think that shorts are appropriate during warm weather.
Yes.
My issue is that I usually walk pretty far to work, and then I work in an office. So it's like...
Sweat.
The commute is tough when you're wearing long pants. And what's the alternative?
It would look like I was like pushed into a pool if I did that. You know how much I sweat. Could you imagine?
That's what I'm saying. It's like
I'd be looking like a spaghetti noodle pulled right out of the pot.
A little worried about when it becomes like swamp summertime in DC.
Swamp summer.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Last year's Brat summer. The year before that, Barbie summer. This year, swamp summer. Because I'm going to be in DC a lot this summer. Remember?
Can't wait. Yeah, I remember.
How exciting.
Very exciting.
I can't wait. June, July. Going to be a good time. I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you were to revise what is acceptable attire in the workplace. For any gender, male, female, non-binary, what would you say is acceptable professional attire in the summer? What are the parameters?
In the summer. I mean...
Are we talking pigglies and jigglies exposed? Or are we saying there needs to be some coverage? Like social norms be damned. As much as possible.
If I'm like rewriting society's norms.
Yeah. Rewrite it in your vision. Just as Christ built man.
I don't really care what you wear. As long as you look like you are showing respect to other people in your office by like being cleanly and pulled together. Make it clear that you put some effort into your appearance and not just like showing up slovenly, unshaven, you know what I mean? Ungroomed. That's the most important thing, I think, to me, because it just gives an air of professionalism to your workplace. And that doesn't necessarily mean, like, we have a lot of connotations that come along with certain forms of clothing. Like, you wear a button-up shirt, you know, you wear long pants if you're a man, right? Or you wear a skirt if you're a woman. Like, these are things that we just have as norms in the workplace that are kind of arbitrary. But I think you can look good without wearing those specific items of clothing. So I guess that's the only thing that I care about. Like, everything else is fair game.
Yeah, I feel like I just want people to be, like, I don't want to see ashy skin. Get some lubrication, some moisturization up in there. Don't bring that dry alligator skin into the dancery. We don't need all that. And I don't want to smell any malodorous scents on anyone. Absolutely no BO. We're not chopping raw red onions here. Okay? No bad breath. No scent of, like, what about the crotch swamp? That nasty, musky smell.
Jeff, are you smelling your coworkers' crotches very often?
All the time. I line them up. I say, let's go. It's time for the sniff test. And I get right in there with my nose and...
Reporting you to HR immediately.
Could you imagine? That would be so crazy. All right, everyone, line up. It's time for our sniff test.
I truly just don't interact like closely enough with my colleagues that often to like notice these odors that you're referring to, I feel like.
I have not had that issue at all with my current workplace, but a workplace before, I won't even say which one because I don't want to put anyone on blast. There was a coworker who had cultural differences and it was not customary to wear deodorant. And it was a really tough situation because you ever have like a gross roommate in college who like was on a sports team or something and like got totally sweaty and then would like leave their clothes wet with sweat in their hamper or in their wardrobe for a few days, and then you'd be like, what is that horrible smell? It's like mildew, body odor, and just general funk.
Sure. I mean, again, not to put anybody on blast, but I've had similar experiences in my lifetime.
Well, it was like that a lot. Plus, raw red onions. And that's really tough.
This is funny because I know the instance that you're talking about because it has been litigated in the group chat about how to approach this. I remember having this conversation via text message.
Yep.
There's two different levels to this. Like, there is the question of, like, is this person aware of this phenomenon? That's, like, question number one.
Sure.
And if it seems like they are...
There's blindness, though.
And it's intentionally just, like, a choice that they're making. In the workplace, I am not disturbed enough to, like, make a big deal out of it. That's just me. And this is just my perspective.
Do you mean mentally disturbed?
Yes, like, literally, like, is it distracting? Like, is it taking away from my ability to work, basically?
It's taking away from my ability to breathe clean air. That's what it was taking my ability.
A smell is not dirty air. It's just, like, a smell.
Justin, what are you talking about, dirty air?
You said clean air. It's the opposite of clean air is dirty air.
What is scent but molecules dispersed through the air that we breathe?
So is good smelling air also dirty air? Because that's also a scent.
Okay, all right, Justin. Mr. fucking scientist over here. Okay, so should I say instead air with a malodorous molecule presence?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's more of a mental issue than it is like
Okay.
a safety issue. You know what I mean?
I'm certainly not saying that it's a safety issue, but I see what you mean. The connotation of dirty air leads to pollution or something,
Right.
or it's unsafeness. It's not unsafe. It is unsafe for my ability to not be driven crazy, which is in turn unsafe for my colleagues because I will unleash a wrath of fury upon them.
Well, yeah, as our listeners may have gathered from our many episodes, I feel like you are somebody who has a much lower tolerance for things like this compared to me.
Wow. I wouldn't say that at all, Justin. I don't think the listeners feel this way either. I think that they find me to be peaceful. I think that they find me to be
so tolerant of other people's perspectives.
Very tolerant, Justin. I never yell, I never blame, and I never name call. I just won't do it. It's not who I am.
So true, Geoff. So true.
I know, I'm saintly. It's hard to be around me, I know. That's why I try to make myself look bad sometimes so that you can, prop yourself up a little bit higher.
And we appreciate that. We appreciate that, Geoff. Yeah.
You most of all.
Yeah.
And you've told me many times off air, "Oh, Geoff, thanks so much. You made me look really good today. Appreciate you dumbing yourself down for me."
Every single week I say that to you. Yeah.
I know. It's very much appreciated. Well, that's that. But we have hot topics we got to talk about.
Yeah, why don't we get into some hot topics?
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, this story that we're going to get into first has already kind of done the rounds, and I think we're kind of doing a postmortem here, but it has really been in the news, yeah. So, Geoff, I'm sure you've heard about this space flight, this voyage of the Blue Origin variety, which featured a all-female crew, including one of our, I would say, enemies on the podcast, Katy Perry.
I don't know if I go so far as to call her a personal enemy of the pod, but it's been unfortunately very easy to dunk on her in the last few years. And I feel badly. I was a Katy Kaz we previously discussed.
At this point, it really feels like she's inviting the dunks. I just can't imagine that she's so self-unaware that she's not seeing this,
I think that she is in the mindset of all news is good news. Because she was just out of the spotlight and headlines for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
And now that she's on American Idol, which still has a strangely high viewership, I think that she's oh, great, people are paying attention to me again. I can continue to do my outlandish shit. Remember when she was on Big Brother?
No.
That era?
No. When was this? Which era was this?
This was the era of that song Swish Swish that she did.
Oh.
And when she had the blonde pixie cut.
Yeah. I'm forgetting the name of that album, but I remember the album cover.
I can't remember the name of it either. I have to say, that album did have a few good songs on it that I really enjoyed and do still play. I will not apologize for this.
Oh, you don't have to. I'm not asking you to.
Okay.
For those who are maybe not familiar with what happened here, there is a space-faring company startup that is owned by Jeff Bezos.
Blue Origin.
Noted Lex Luthor cosplayer / mega billionaire. He owns this space travel company, and he recently organized this all-female crew to go up in space for a grand total of, I think it was 11 minutes. And by some definitions, they actually don't really go up into space because they're still in the Earth's atmosphere. That's kind of beside the point.
Near Earth orbit.
Right. The women who were a part of this voyage, of course, included Katy Perry, Jeff Bezos' fiance, Lauren Sanchez.
Flop.
Gayle King.
Oh, love Gayle King.
Aisha Bowe, who is a former aerospace engineer turned entrepreneur. Amanda Nguyen, might be pronouncing her last name wrong, but she is a candidate for the Nobel Peace Prize, actually, because she has done a lot of advocacy for sexual assault victims.
Wait, she's currently a candidate for the Nobel Peace Prize?
She has been in the past.
Oh, has been in the past. Okay.
She actually was involved with the passage of some legislation through Congress in 2016 that Obama signed about
Oh, wait, I remember her.
Yeah, it was about the processing of rape kits in the
Yes.
US. Yeah.
Yep, I remember her.
So she's like a real legit activist. And also, Carrie Ann Flynn rounded out the cast. She is an HR executive and film producer. So this is really like a interesting, I guess it's a euphemistic way to put this, crew of people who have been on this space flight.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so there's like some legit, I would say, like, polls here in this crew, you know? So I think that Katy Perry's gotten a lot of the headlines, rightfully so.
I know. Poor Gayle King.
And I feel bad for, yeah, I mean, Gayle King, Amanda Nguyen, and, I don't know, arguably Aisha Bowe and Carrie Ann Flynn, although those two seem to be more in kind of like the entrepreneur and executive space more than like activist space.
Yeah.
But then when you have Katy Perry in an Elle interview saying, "We are going to put the ass in astronauts," it just really feels like, what are we doing here?
I would be so annoyed if I were on the rest of the flight crew with her. Like, she has like this like MLM girl boss type of energy about everything she does. And it's like, she, you know, they're all like, oh, wait, this is the first all-female crew. Which, okay, that is kind of cool in theory. But then you put, like, Katy Perry in there. You put Gayle King. I mean, I love Gayle King. I think she's a great journalist, you know. I think all these people are accomplished, right? They're all very accomplished in their fields.
No question about that, yeah.
Although, I don't really know, I will say I don't know much at all about Lauren Sanchez, other than she's Jeff Bezos' fiance. She could be very accomplished too. Don't know. I just don't know about her. But I feel like when you put stuff in that, like, we're going to put the ass in astronaut, I don't know if that's really sending the best message when you're, you know, news outlets are also running, and purportedly the PR team for Blue Origin is running with this is the first female crew. And then she kind of makes it like almost like a sexual joke.
I mean, it's a joke.
It just feels kind of cheap.
It's wild. I mean, if you read that Elle article, which is like this very glossy, like
shan't.
People magazine type interview with all of the women in the crew. I mean, Katy Perry like is quoted as being like, the first thing I thought about was what would I wear? And it's literally just like,
Jesus Christ. Gloria Steinem would be absolutely furious to read this.
It just really feels like, I don't know. Does Katy Perry even know what she's doing? Like, it is so wild to me. Like, I wonder if it's intentional. Like, I truly wonder if it's just shock value. Because this is a publicity stunt. Like,
100%.
Not that it is easy to go up in space for 11 minutes. Like, I'm sure that there's a lot of safety protocols you have to do. It takes, you know, going up in a rocket is like a physically demanding process because you're going through a lot of G-forces. But, like, they're not scientists in the ISS. You know what I mean? They're going up there, they're floating around for 10 minutes, and then they come back down, and that's the nature of the beast. And it's really more just like, a publicity stunt for Bezos to get more obscenely rich people to buy tickets to go to space, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And to, like, brand it as feminism, I think is, like, 10 steps back for the actual feminist movement. It's a little bit tough.
I don't love that. I also just feel like how much money was spent on this whole thing? Like, the PR of it all, the fuel of it all, the money that went into the people who were being paid to make sure that this happened, even like the spectating platform and the news media. I'm like, this money could have been better spent on so many other things, especially, and I'm like, you know, the other thing that I have a big issue with about this is that it's like, considering all that's happening right now, where citizens are being deported to foreign gulags, I am like, is this the fucking time? Can we all read the room just a little bit?
Right. It does not really meet the moment, especially at a time when
not at all.
Bezos, obviously very supportive of the current administration in many ways.
Oh, yeah.
He owns the Washington Post and has been recently involved with the editorial side of the Washington Post.
Silencing them.
To make the institution a little bit less left-leaning, I think.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you have a lot of attacks on oppressed groups by the current administration. So it feels like very super cynical to frame this as a feminist win. And it actually reminds me of, like, back in the 70s, there's that poem by Gil Scott-Heron, Whitey on the Moon, which was like a criticism of all the money that NASA was spending to send people to the moon at a time when, like, you know, the civil rights movement was happening.
Yep.
Feels very reminiscent of that. But now, instead of the government paying for it, it's, you know, like billionaire oligarchs like Bezos spending the money.
Yeah. With a lot more power and influence than the government, really.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's gross. I really don't like it at all. I was disappointed how many people were like involved with this. I mean, Oprah, come on. Really?
Does Oprah? I don't know. Oprah might just be in the dark place or the sunken place.
I kind of feel that she is.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel Gayle King is too.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, a constant reminder that like not all skin folk are kinfolk. And it's also a reminder that money corrupts everybody regardless of their initial moral standing.
White Lotus season 3.
Yeah, literally. It's so disappointing. I just really can't believe that none of them are like, let me really think about this and source some external opinions. But these people are so self-isolated by their money that they really don't have a beat on what's going on in the rest of the world.
I mean, it's kind of a luxury that they can self-isolate in that way.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely. Like the ultimate luxury, really.
Mm-hmm.
To just be like, this doesn't really affect my life at all. I'll do what I want. Yeah. Oh, God.
Speaking of money corrupting.
Oh, God. Yes.
Sorry to bring the mood down even further. Although apparently you're excited for this. There has been some casting announcements about the upcoming Harry Potter show on Max. Have you seen these casting announcements?
Well, you know that I have. And firstly, let me just say this right at the top. I support trans rights. Okay?
Waiting for the butt.
Trans rights. No, I'm not. No but. I support trans rights. I do not support notorious TERF J.K. Rowling. Mm-hmm. Period. However, she does not. No.
There it is.
It's not a but. I'm just saying she's not. They're involved with this. That the Warner Brothers is really they've got the IP on it. I think she's been consulted because she is a creator and she will always have a piece of Harry Potter. What I am excited for is seeing this series reimagined, or seeing the Harry Potter book series reimagined as a multi-season television show, which is how I always have thought that it should have been done. I always thought there was enough meat and interesting subplots in the books for it to be a television show as opposed to movies. And I think that largely the movies are bad, and the only reason I still sometimes enjoy watching them, like around Halloween, is because we don't have that many great Halloween films.
That aren't horror films, I think, importantly for you as a hater of horror films.
I don't like horror.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later. And they also have like a nostalgia factor for me. Life was fun when you were a kid, and now it's not. I like to go back to that place where I'm like, man, life was fun and chill, and I had good times. I was just balling with my friends.
It's a bit of a hot take to say that those movies are bad, though.
I think that they're mostly bad. I really do. I think what was done with the first one was great. I think Christopher Columbus he is just so good at like capturing and I don't mean this in a magic way like related to Harry Potter magic, but I just mean he's one of the most masterful directors in capturing the magic of a story. Like Home Alone. Magical storytelling.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what I feel about that. So I am excited about the series coming out because I want to see how much better it is than the movies. And I think it will be.
I have a slightly different take on the news. Yes. This is something we disagree on, I think, which is, fine. We love disagreeing here on the pod. I never have any judgment on any individual like consumer who's like, I totally get that J.K. Rowling is a TERF and I don't support her, but I want to keep watching the Harry Potter movies and I'm still a fan of the franchise, not of J.K. Rowling. No judgment from me on that front.
I think that you're far and few between on that front. I do, for real. I posted something about Harry Potter a while ago. You wouldn't believe the comments I got, Justin. And I'm not even like a real public figure like that. But friends and acquaintances are like, what's wrong with you? What the fuck?
It's the front lines of the culture war, right? Here's what I do take issue with.
Umbrage.
It's when people in power take umbrage with. Is when people in power, like these actors who agreed to take these roles, and many of these are skilled actors, like John Lithgow was just in an Oscar-nominated film in Conclave. Yep. These are people who are like well-respected and nominally, at least, liberal folks who are pro-trans rights in many cases. You've got people who were involved with the production of Succession at HBO who are being the showrunners and the directors. Mark Mylod, who is the director of The Menu, is going to be the director of many of the episodes of at least the first season of this show. These are like really talented people. And I think when you make good, high quality content, people will come to it, right?
Yes.
Where the lever of power is when you are a talented person who has this platform to say no to an opportunity like this, right? This is the reason why like those weird like right-wing movies always are garbage in terms of like critical reception. Like why they're so bad is because you've got all of these actors who are actually talented saying no to those parts.
Yeah.
They don't want to do that, right? So like I am judging many of these actors and many of the creative minds behind this, like Mark Mylod, for saying yes to this, because it would have been just as easy to say no and let somebody of a lower quality make this show. Could have been a flop, and then J.K. Rowling doesn't receive any more money from this. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
I don't judge any consumer for going to see a show that's being reviewed well or whatever, right? I think that's a personal decision. Like, for me, the ick factor is just, like, too high on something like this, but I'm not going to judge anybody individually. So, yeah, for me, I guess, like, my general feeling is, like, disappointment that we have such a talented team that is going behind somebody who is, like, an outspoken, like, anti-trans activist in the UK. You know, that's tough. And Warner Brothers has been asked about this. Like, David Zaslav, who's the CEO of Warner Brothers, has been asked, like, are you worried about any backlash to this show? And he was like, well, you know, Hogwarts Legacy, I think that's the name of the video game that came out a couple years ago, was a massive success. So we don't have, you know, clearly consumers don't give a shit about this controversy. And it's like a very cynical take.
I knew it was going to be a business answer, not a ethical answer. Because the ethical answer obviously is like, we probably shouldn't do this anymore. But it's like the money brought in by the Harry Potter IP is just enormous.
That's what I mean. Like and WB, as we have discussed, is really about leveraging its IPs. It surely is. So I think that's the only reason this show's being made.
Yeah.
They've had cash issues. They need money, and this is a cash cow for them. So David Zaslav sees that, and he's like, it seems like nobody gives a shit, so we're going to make it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just sucks that people who are artists, who are not capitalists, are saying yes and to go on board. That's the part that I feel bad about.
Well, you know, this is my thing. I think about this often as of late. We are all forced to be capitalists. Whether we agree with the ideology or not, we're forced to participate in this system unless we completely attempt to live off grid and truly make all of our own things. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If we choose not to purchase anything, purchase no goods, or purchase things that are not produced with any goods that are mass produced. Do you know what I'm saying?
Like, well, no ethical consumption under capitalism is what you're saying.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
And that's why I'm saying, like, I have a lot more sympathy towards a consumer who's consuming media like this than I do the creators and the artists who are behind it, right? These are people who are doing well.
Well, yes and no, because, you know, like a great example, well, maybe not the greatest example, but one example is a Sarah Jessica Parker. Now, we all know she's very rich.
Just to be clear, not cast in the Harry Potter.
No. Show. Yes, this has nothing to do with that. This is, I guess, just more like a philosophical conversation. Mm-hmm. Sarah Jessica Parker grew up in an impoverished family in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. She found success as a child actor in Blossoms and Square Pegs, I think, were the two shows that she did as like a youth teen, young adult teen. And then she got really big, obviously, from Sex and the City and all the movies that followed, and now they sort of almost reboot and Just Like That that's currently streaming on Max. Mm-hmm. She is an actor who, yes, is rich, but she also has supported almost all of her family, like, since making it in the business. So she's not as rich as she could be. Maybe this is a bad example. I guess what I'm saying is, like, all actors, all artists need work to survive.
Yeah, people need to make money. I mean, why is Scarlett Johansson doing a Jurassic Park movie?
Right, exactly.
Nobody needs to do. I guess what I'm trying to say is, it's interesting that we're talking about this because I think this actually has a lot to do with the themes of Sinners, as we'll get into later. But there's always a trade-off between the business, financial side of things and the creative side of things, right? And I think that whenever an actor is taking a role, there's always a conversation of like, there's the one for them, one for me philosophy, which is like, I'm going to do one for the money, for the people, and then one for my own creative like fulfillment.
Exactly. The indie films of it all.
Right. And I just think that like when it comes to a really high profile project like Harry Potter, where these are mostly high profile actors that are being cast here, people who already have careers, they're not going to be out of work if they don't take this role. Sure, it's a lot of money, probably because it's Harry Potter and WB is desperate to get this made.
Yeah.
But you could always get a different role. Do you really think that Mark Mylod, the director from Succession, who's like one of the most acclaimed television directors in modern times, is like not going to have a job if he doesn't take this opportunity?
No, I'm not saying that. I mean, I think that's probably he and Jonathan Lithgow are hands down the most famous people attached to this now, and definitely in terms of money earned from their past roles, I would imagine the wealthiest.
Mm-hmm.
But there are other actors on here who I have seen in other things before, who I know, but they've mostly done like character work. Like a great example is Janet McTeer, who was in Ozark.
Yes, and she's been cast as Minerva McGonagall.
Which, by the way, I think is excellent casting. She is perfect for that role. I think she's going to absolutely nail it. I think that she's a foreign, like a UK-born actor, so I'm not as familiar with her work, but I don't imagine that she's extremely wealthy. Like, these people also have life, like, I'm sure that they have to make money too. I don't think anybody aside from, like, the director and the showrunners probably, and Jonathan Lithgow, are people who could afford to, like, turn down a huge opportunity like this.
I don't know that I agree with that, but I do have sympathy with you need to make money. I get that. I think that most of the people who were cast in this probably would survive if they didn't take this role, if they said no to this role.
Sure. I mean, I think survival is like, I think that's like a little unrealistic, because like you and I could also be like, oh, like I don't like this thing about my job and I don't agree with it on an ethical standard, so I'm leaving. And like we could survive, but we wouldn't be thriving or doing well.
Yeah, but I think that our careers are a little bit different than like an actor's career, where you're working on multiple projects over the course of your career, and this is just one of many. You know what I mean?
Hopefully, but I think that there's a lot less stability, I guess is what I'm saying, when you're an artist. Like, it's not a sure thing.
Yeah, I totally get that. And like, it's not any individual actor that said yes to this. It's that there is like a critical mass of talent that has kind of amassed as a part of this show. So many people who said yes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to like be holier than thou about this. It's just like, I feel like if this happened, let's even say like in 2018 or something, or 2017, you know, the backlash would have been much more severe. And I just think the current climate is like enabling this, and Warner Brother kind of openly saying like, we don't really give a shit about this because people are still buying Harry Potter stuff.
Yeah.
Is like a sign of how dark the times have become, I think.
Yeah, I guess that's like the bigger conversation is like, is this something that we really have the energy or time to be outraged about? Like, I think that we should be angry about U.S. citizens being disappeared. That to me seems like a much bigger issue.
I mean, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. I'm not even like outraged about this.
Can we? I don't know.
There are bigger issues than like the Harry Potter television show on Max. Like, I can just not watch it, and I'm probably not going to watch it, and that's fine. And I agree with that. But because we're on a pop culture podcast, I think it is an interesting conversation to have, I guess.
No, it definitely is.
Yeah. But just to quickly go over who was cast. So we talked about John Lithgow. He has been cast as Dumbledore.
Yep. That's interesting.
We already talked about Janet McTeer as McGonagall.
Mm-hmm.
Papa Esidu, I believe is how you pronounce his name, as Snape. Very interesting casting, a black man being cast as Snape.
Oh, people are mad about it, Justin.
Really?
People are mad about it.
Damn.
Like, all the comments underneath the casting announcements on Deadline, Variety, on Max itself, on Instagram and TikTok.
Yikes.
The racism is prevalent and strong.
I mean, I feel like when you had Alan Rickman play this iconic character in past films, like, all you can do is go a totally different direction. You know?
I completely agree with you.
So I'm pro that casting as a creative choice.
I think so too. I like that.
You also have Nick Frost as Hagrid. So Nick Frost, probably best known for starring in a lot of those Simon Pegg films, like Shaun of the Dead.
Yes.
And what's the other big one? There's like a cop one, right?
Yeah. I can't remember the name of it.
Hot Fuzz.
Yes, Hot Fuzz.
I was like Reno 911, and I was like, that's
yeah. Oh my god, I love Reno 911. I like that show to come back.
And then there was also Luke Thallin as Quirrell.
Oh, that's good casting.
And Paul Whitehouse as Filch.
That's also great.
Paul Whitehouse actually was in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban as a minor character. So he's the only cast member who's been in both the films and the TV show. So
fun trivia question.
Yeah, for the Harry Potter trivia nerds out there.
Oh my god, Justin, should we have a trivia show, like a live show where we do pop culture trivia? Could that be fun?
Sure, if we get big enough to do a live show that we can afford that, then I'd be down.
I'd fucking love that.
Yeah.
Let's do it in DC.
Well, we'll be following the Harry Potter television show. I'm sure Geoff will give his takes once that airs. It's going to be coming soon.
I certainly shall. I'm quite excited for it, to be honest with you.
I'm excited for our conversation about Sinners. So why don't we take a quick break, and then we'll come right back and talk about the Ryan Coogler film.
And we're back!
Geoff, we're back to talk about the Ryan Coogler written and directed film, Sinners.
Sinners, baby.
Ryan Coogler, of course, I would say wildly successful director of films such as the 2 Black Panther movies.
Wakanda Forever,
Fruitvale Station, and Creed.
The Creed trilogy.
No, he only directed Creed 1.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Like many of Ryan Coogler's films, Sinners stars Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan in this film plays a dual role. He plays twin brothers Smoke and Stack in 1930s Mississippi. These 2 characters are returning home from Chicago to start a juke joint, which is kind of like a dive bar / music venue.
Honky tonk.
In the Jim Crow South, especially for black people.
For us, by us, as they say.
Mm-hmm. During this process, they recruit talent from across the Mississippi Delta for the grand opening party. A party that attracts a lot of attention, including the supernatural kind.
Ooh.
And that is the setup for the film.
Do-do-dee-doo-doo-doo-dee-doo.
Some other stars include Haley Steinfeld, Miles Catton, Wunmi Musaku, and Jack O'Connell.
I love Haley Steinfeld. I really do. She has great music.
Music? Okay, that's a throwback. Yeah.
Yeah. She had that good song. I love me, and I won't need anybody else. I love me. You know that one?
I do remember that song, yeah.
That should be my What's Good this week. Maybe I'll change mine.
Don't spoil it. It.
Okay. Well, now I've said it, so I won't. But it could have been. That's a great song. I did listen to it today and yesterday because after seeing this film, I said,
you've been
what
thinking
about
Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah, she's great. Also, Wunmi Musaku. Love to see her again because, we both loved Lovecraft Country.
Yes.
So it was great to see her in a not so dissimilar role, I might say.
She's also been cast in a couple of Marvel projects, which is interesting considering Coogler has also been involved with Marvel. Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, beautiful.
Sinners, at this point, we're recording this episode on Sunday.
420.
420, baby.
Hell yeah, brother.
Blaze it. Currently, Sinners is on track to beat out a Minecraft film to be #1 at the box office this weekend, which
That's
I think
pretty wild.
Is kind of a coup. It's a little bit shocking. This is more successful than a lot of people thought this movie was going to be.
You know why, Justin?
Why is that?
The black folks said for us, by us.
Truly, honestly, that demographic is always undercounted when it comes to box office projections.
When it comes to everything.
I mean, everything, for sure, but look at the way the
Black
Panther outperformed. Yeah, that too.
93%. 93% of black women voted for Kamala Harris.
But back to Sinners, Geoff.
Yes.
I want to know, first of all, what was your experience like watching this film? Where did you see it? What was the theater like? And what were your thoughts overall?
I gotta tell you, the theater I walked in, I said, you'd been reminding me all week, make sure you buy a ticket, make sure you buy a ticket, make sure you buy a ticket. Which I do appreciate you. Thank you for doing that. I did not buy a ticket ahead of time. I am a flop. Okay? I just am. I went to the theater, and I went to the little kiosk, the local theater, Waterford.
The Regal.
And I went to the kiosk to buy my ticket. It said sold out. And I said, I will not accept this. So I walked up to the concession stand. Very nice gentleman there helped me out. Unusually helpful, I have to tell you. Unusually helpful. Because a lot of times I've gone to that theater, and it has been an absolute flop. Flop service. A bunch of Gen Alphas standing around on their phone. They literally will stop. The four of them will stop talking, look at me, and then go back to talking.
All right, we're getting a little old man yells at cloud here.
Oh, yeah, we are. And I fully am in that era. I'm 35 now. I'm feeling old man. Get off my lawn! I'm talking about the other these youths with their rock and roll music. I'm fully feeling like that. But I am annoyed when I go somewhere for service. And, like, I just want someone to do their job. They don't even have to do it that well. But I just would like you to actually actively do it. And with a little bit. So what is this face you're making at me right now?
I'm just, this whole rant began with you talking about how you had a good customer service experience. Do you remember that?
I do remember that part, but I'm just letting you know what it's usually like.
Okay, but why don't we give credit where credit's due? Why don't we give a little credit to this man or woman who helped you?
I'm giving credit to those two gentlemen. They were very helpful. They were very kind. They were my age. I'll just say that. The listeners can fill in the blanks. They were very nice, very helpful. The guy said, the kiosk often says that it's like sold out, but he's like, I'm going to look for you and see if there are other tickets. There was one ticket left.
You had the final ticket in the theater? I got
the final ticket. I was sandwiched in between two parties who I think were enjoying that there was a little separation between them. A little breathing room, elbow room. And I did sat my fat ass down on the chair behind them and reclined.
Okay, so what was your experience like in the theater, and what did you think of the movie?
Well, I love to see a movie in the theater, Justin. I love it. I love to be around. I love to be where the people are.
Yeah, just like Ariel. Yeah.
Just as Ariel sang about. It was a fun energy. I think people were... I would say the crowd was buzzing.
Mm-hmm.
I walked in just as, like, the final trailer was playing. Because, I was also late. Of course.
This is so fucking classic. Of course.
So I walked in late. The last trailer was ending. People were talking about it. I didn't even notice what the trailer was, but everybody was buzzing about it. Then we had the little intro. You know how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Silence. People were locked the fuck in. It said turn off your phones. Everybody did.
Hell yeah.
Suddenly the ceiling was aglow with the blue light of people pulling out their phones to silence them. And I wanted to stand up and applaud at that time. Just for the crowd. Just for looking out for common man. Fellow man. I love that. And then I got scared immediately. Because then I realized, oh, wait a second. I blocked out in my mind that there was a horror element to the story, which, as you know, you're swiftly reminded of in the very first, 2 minutes of the film.
That's true. Just to hook you.
And I said, I don't know about this. But I stayed for another hour. I did leave early.
You left the film early.
I did. I was too scared. It was late. Firstly, it was a late night showing, Justin. It was
in a full theater with many other people.
It was a 9:40 showing. But I don't like horror and I don't like to be scared.
Okay, that's fine.
So I made it about an hour and 10 minutes, and I said, okay, I gotta go. I'm gonna have nightmares. And by the way, I still did have nightmares. I still had nightmares last night and the night before when I saw it.
So you made it an hour into the film.
An hour and 10 minutes, I think.
Okay, so you maybe watched 60% of the movie.
Yes.
Okay.
But I did read the synopsis about what occurs afterwards, and then I did listen to some reviews today.
Okay.
In preparation.
Well, of what you watched, what did you think?
Well, didn't like the horror. And it's just, that's unfortunately the way that I am built. I can't help who I am.
That's fine. But just in terms of performances.
Well, I'm not done with that. I'm going to keep talking. Don't you worry.
All right.
You don't have to extract the goods here. I'll give you the goods. I thought Michael B. Jordan was fine. I didn't think he was incredible. I was hopeful that he would be. Because I have a thing about when people play two characters in a movie. I do think he did a good job of embodying different people.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that the writing of those two people was a little, first pass, a little flat for me.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that I would say first 45 minutes of the movie were a little bit slow. There was a lot of build up. I guess I just have an issue with films that we don't necessarily see the relationships form. We're just basically told by their interactions and some dialogue that they have a deep relationship from the past.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really love that in storytelling in general. I want to actually see it happen with my own eyes, understand the dynamic with my own eyes. I don't want to know what happened in the past and then see more or a reaction to a change in the relationship. I like to see the whole thing happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a little bit of an issue with that. I think overall for me, the first few minutes, the first part of the movie that I watched felt a little bit emotionally flat. I didn't really feel super connected to most of the characters. I did think that the actor who played Sammy was very great.
Like wildly good, right?
Yes.
What a voice. Like his voice is incredible.
Yeah.
Shout him out. His name is Miles Catton. C-A-T-O-N.
Miles Catton. C-A-T-O-N. Miles Catton. Miles Catton had a great performance, and also like his musical ability is incredible.
I think he must have been cast specifically because of that voice and his musical ability. I think
but
this
he was
might
a good
be
actor,
his
I thought.
debut. He's a good actor too, but
Very
I think
good
like
actor.
Yeah, absolutely a standout.
Yeah, I really enjoyed him. I really enjoyed Wunmi Mosaku. I think she's just like so beautiful. I could look at her do anything and just be enchanted.
Mm-hmm.
But she also is so emotive, and she acts with like her full body, which I always like too. You know, I do like the face acting, as we discussed in our last episode.
You do.
But I also appreciate like a different style of like full body acting, which she definitely gave. I'm curious what you were thinking about in terms of performances and of the story.
Yeah, well, here's what I'll say about the film. I really liked it. I think that Ryan Coogler is a filmmaker who he's been in the franchise filmmaking world for a long time now.
Yeah.
He did Fruitvale Station, which was an adaptation of, I believe, a novel or a memoir. I can't remember if it's based on a true story or not. Editor Justin here. I was completely wrong in what I just said. Fruitvale Station isn't based on a book, fiction or nonfiction. It is based on a real-life police shooting where 2 Bay Area rapid transit police officers shot and killed Oscar Bart in 2009. I apologize for the mistake, and let's get back to the pod. And then after that, he did Creed, which is obviously a spin-off of the Rocky films, and then 2 Marvel movies. So he's been like in the studio system for a while, and he's done pretty much exclusively studio films. This film is definitely also tailored for a broad audience, right?
Right.
There is absolutely a lot of moments, for me in my experience in the theater. I watched it in IMAX, which was really cool. There were a lot of moments where, like, there's a little bit of a Marvel-y energy to some of the comments that some of the characters make, where it got like a chuckle out of the audience at certain points, you know? And I'm not a hater of that.
You know that I am.
I know that you are, which is why I'm saying that. But I enjoyed that part of it. It's definitely like a crowd-pleasing movie. Like, the audience was chuckling along in the theater in my viewing.
Same.
And I can see how some people might be turned off by that. Like, it's not trying to pass itself off as high art. But it does also have, like, big ideas and themes, I think, if you dig down into it.
I was going to say, I don't know if I buy that it's not trying to pass itself off as high art.
Well, I think it's trying to be crowd-pleasing, and also it has big ideas, right? It's like a very broad studio movie. This is a WB film. They made a huge bet on this. It's got a big budget.
Seems like it's paying off so far.
So far, it's paying off, and it also has some ideas.
Yeah.
I think it works better as a moment-to-moment film than it does on first watch as like a thematic statement. I think that some of the themes are a little bit muddled and confusing on first listen or first pass.
I agree with you.
But, you know, in thinking about it afterwards, you know, I have a lot of takeaways from it thematically that I think are really interesting. I think a lot of again, this is going back to some of our discussions earlier during this episode. A lot of the underlying themes have to do with creativity and artists.
Yep.
Why artists choose to do what they do, and what selling out, quote unquote, selling out means, and what the consequences of that are. This is something that Ryan Coogler has obviously had to deal with, being a filmmaker who made 2 Marvel movies, right? Marvel movies that are majority black casts, but are made for a broad audience, including a white audience, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there are some parallels to how Smoke and Stack, the 2 characters that Michael B. Jordan plays in the film, deal with broadening their audience, potentially. And also how the artist stand-in in the film, Preacher Boy, played by Miles Catton, how he decides whether or not he wants to carry on his creativity. So to me, that was like the underlying thing. All movies are about making movies in a lot of ways, right? And it's hard not to read this film, to me, as Ryan Coogler talking about his own creative impulses and the struggles that he feels as a creative in the studio system.
Yep, I think that's totally what the impetus for this film was.
Yeah, but that being said, this movie, first 40 minutes is like a period drama.
Right.
And then suddenly it turns into like
quickly
fucking John Carpenter, Tarantino level gory horror film. There's a lot of like stabbing of people, like blood spurting, fully B-movie horror vampire film.
Yeah.
Which clearly Ryan Coogler has a love of that type of genre film. There's a couple of moments in the second half of the movie that are like, why are you running up the stairs moments? You know what I mean? Like, why are these characters in a horror film doing this stupid ass, like making this stupid ass choice? But it feels intentional because it's like trying to be that kind of genre film.
Yeah, it like really plays into the tropes of a lot of horror films.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Very annoying. Like, oh, they're missing. Let's go outside and search.
Yeah, like, let's go and look.
Let's split up.
Where the vampires
what are you doing?
Yeah. Somebody just stabbed a knife through a door. Let me put my eye right up to the knife hole to see if I can see inside. Like, those types of decisions.
Oh, God.
And it does feel like that's intentional because there is a certain, like, uneasiness that it creates in an audience to see something like that happen where you're like, no, don't do that. You know, like a bit of tension.
Oh.
Some horror viewers like that. Some people really are annoyed by that. But it's definitely a feature of the genre.
I'm raising my hand.
Let's talk about who apparently is one of your faves, Haley Steinfeld. What do you think of her performance? She plays Mary, who is a love interest of Stack, which was, I would say, like the more kind of brash and aggressive of the brothers.
Yeah, definitely. He was like a little, of the two, he was a little bit of a loose cannon.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like Smoke felt like you had to keep an eye on him. In fact, he said something to that when he told Preacher Boy to like keep an eye on him and watch his back because he can't watch it for himself.
Yep.
Towards the very beginning of the movie. Wait, what did you ask me about?
What you thought of Haley Steinfeld's performance?
I thought it was pretty good. You know, I think generally with this film, like, I think that there were some really interesting ideas. I don't think that they seem to be really flushed out, and I think it's because it took such a turn deeply into the horror genre, which doesn't really lend itself well to like big thematic ideas or a lot of like great plot or character development because you're so focused on like the action. There's not a huge arc of storytelling to be told when you're now you've basically, I mean, horror, I think, especially this kind, which it basically turned into like a slasher horror film.
Yeah, it's more of a B movie. It's not like this more recent wave of like prestige horror, like Ari Aster or Long Legs or something. Yeah, it's more like pulpy, like B movie horror, like
exactly
Evil Dead or something like that.
Yeah, Dead Will Rise. Yeah. I think once you take that turn, you can't really get back to the big ideas. But one of the ideas I thought was really fascinating was this idea of like musicality, like transcending time and culture, which I wish that they had explored some more of. I think that could have been kind of cool. But I don't think that there was a lot of meat for most of the characters to really work with in terms of the writing.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree a little bit. I want to push back a little bit on your read of like horror as a genre, especially like pulpy horror films. I think that there is a lot of room. Horror is great as a genre because you can kind of use the monster as a metaphor for lots of societal ills, right?
Yeah, which I mean, like the vampires were obviously like, you know, clan members and racism incarnate.
Well, I feel like the vampires are actually a little bit more complicated than that because we actually have non-vampire clan members, right? Because this is set in the Jim Crow South.
Yeah.
That's one enemy of Smoke and Stack and the entire black community in the Mississippi Delta at that time. And then there's also the vampires. The actual vampire played by Jack O'Connell. He is, importantly, not a Klansman. He is an Irishman, which is like a big part of the plot because there's a big musical segment. Maybe you didn't see this part, but
I don't think I did.
Irish dancing, Irish traditional dancing with folk music and stuff that the vampires are participating in. He represents kind of like a third party. He is not the Klansman. I think that he represents, and to me, this is how I interpreted it on a thematic level. The vampires represented this kind of like broadening of the tent. You can take your musical talent, they seem to be telling Preacher Boy, and bringing it to a wider audience. This Irish vampire, obviously the Irish people, obviously not exactly the same as the black experience in America, but like they're also oppressed in their context in the UK, right? Like their style of dance was outlawed. Like they were in a system of oppression and like,
in America when they emigrated here. Yeah, for sure.
And in America, yeah, during the immigration, during this time in history, right? In the 30s, they were also like a stigmatized immigrant group, right? Yep. They weren't like enslaved in America the way that black folks were in America, but there are commonalities there, and the vampire like explicitly draws on those parallels to try to attract some of the people in the juke joint to his side.
Wait, so tell me what happened for here, because like I was gone by this time.
Yeah, so why don't we take just a quick break to say that we're going to get into spoilers about plot stuff. And before we do that, I just want to say if you're on the fence about this movie, 10 times out of 10, I would rather have this movie than like Marvel movie number 65. This is like a really big, high budget studio film that's completely original.
I'm here for the originality. I just really don't like horror movies.
Right. And if you're not into horror movies, don't see it. But it's worth a watch in the theater. But let's get into spoilers. Editor Justin back once again. If you want to skip spoilers for Sinners, jump to 1:25:30.
Spoilers abound, F-slurs.
Okay, so let me ask you a quick context question. Yeah. What's the last scene that you saw in the theater before you left?
Basically, Haley Steinfeld was like, "We're going to kill every one of you," and she ran out into the woods. And then
and that's when you left?
Well, right after that, they were then like trying to get Alumi's character, who I can't remember her name, Ruby, maybe it was? Oh, Annie, I think her name is in this show. Movie.
Yeah, her name's Annie.
Annie, yep. She was Ruby in Lovecraft Country. That's what I'm thinking of. Annie is trying to get Smoke to bring Stack's body outside because
Stack has just been murdered by Mary, who has already been turned into a vampire.
Yeah, and so now she's like, he's going to turn into a vampire too, and his body needs to be outside because vampires have to be invited in.
Right.
And so Smoke was like freaking out, like in like shock and PTSD type shit. So he like couldn't move or anything. So I think I gathered my things up at that point in time. And then the Choys were like, we got to go home to, I forget their daughter's name, Lisa.
I want to say maybe it was even Lily. I can't remember her name either.
Yeah, I can't remember. So they're like, we got to leave, right? And because the husband was also in shock, and the wife was like, we got to go. And he's like, okay, I'll go get the car. And then I was like, oh no. You're going outside, you're going to get killed. So I was like, that's when I like got up and left. I was like, I can't.
Okay. So just to set the scene a little bit, this is after the juke joint has opened and the party's been going for a little bit.
Yeah. People are dancing, music making.
There is this incredible scene, which you alluded to in our earlier segment, about the transcendence of music through time that I think was just like, I think maybe for some people it wouldn't hit. But it was basically during this scene where Preacher Boy is singing the blues. And like as he's singing, there's like these other styles of music that are coming in, and like physical people, actors wearing like clothing from like the 80s and the 70s, and like traditional Chinese dancers and musicians also in the crowd. I think this is a little bit of a polarizing scene from what I've seen online. Like some people are like, this is so cringe. But I was like very moved by that scene.
That was my favorite part.
Yeah, that was like one of the highlights of the movie for me. It was incredible.
That's what I thought I wanted more of the movie to be like.
Yeah, it was so good. But anyways, back to what was going on. This is following that scene during this transcendence of music theme. The Irish vampire shows up with these two Klansmen that he did turn into vampires. And he basically says he wants to be invited into the party. And a part of the magical realism of this world is that people who are like extremely talented in terms of music are able to basically call supernatural beings to them. And this is what has drawn the vampire to this juke joint, is that Preacher Boy's immense talent has kind of drawn them in like a siren call. At the same time, you got Smoke and Stack counting up their bills. And they're like, if we're going to break even on this, we're going to need to make a little bit more money. And a part of the problem is that the black folks that are coming in and paying are paying with like company money, like fake sharecropper money.
Yeah,
right?
Plantation money
That doesn't really work in the real world.
Yeah.
So they're faced with this dilemma. Do we let these 3 white people in?
Because they have gold.
Because they have gold, real money. Or should we keep this to like our community, right? And this is like a business decision that doesn't have to do with Preacher Boy or his creative side, right? This is more of a business choice.
Right, which is fascinating because it definitely has a parallel to what you were talking about earlier of like compromising your art for business.
Exactly. So I think this is the core of what the vampires represent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the vampire is not really like a explicit bad guy. He seems as such at first because he's a vampire and like vampires kill people, blah, blah, blah. But what you learn is that everybody who he turns, they kind of form this like commune mind.
Yeah,
so they like share their
mind.
Memories. Right. It's like a hive mind. And at a certain point, they have their own party outside and they're doing like this Irish dancing jig. And everybody's having like a grand old time out there. And it's kind of like, you could join this party. You know, if you want to join, your blues talent can come under our tent and we can like spread this culture throughout all of my commune, basically, is what the Irish vampire is telling Soldier Boy. Not Soldier Boy, Jesus Christ. Preacher Boy.
Soldier Boy, tell him.
Preacher Boy, tell him.
Also, I kept thinking about Paperboy from Atlanta.
Yeah, Paperboy. All about that Paperboy.
Yep.
So I think he represents like well-meaning liberals and white business people who want to be like, listen, I want to spread how good this style of music is to the world.
Okay, interesting.
And the movie doesn't really come down on one side or the other about whether that's a positive or negative thing. It kind of says like, well, he has points, you know, like the vampire has some points as opposed to the Klans members who at the end, Smoke just absolutely blows them away with a Tommy gun. Like he just murders all of them. Right.
Love it.
So yeah, I think it's like it's pretty nuanced actually in how it characterizes the vampires and what the vampires' goals are.
Mm-hmm.
And then did you know that there was actually a post-credit scene to this movie?
I heard that there was, but I did not watch it.
So that adds a little bit more context. So it's basically a flash forward to the 90s, the early 90s. Preacher Boy is now portrayed by Buddy Guy, who's of course like a legendary blues musician.
Yep.
And he has survived like 70 years. And he's now existing in the 90s as like this accomplished musician, right? And he's chilling at the bar after a gig. And who walks in but an immaculately styled Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld in fucking early 90s attire, like MC Hammer music video type fits.
Walls.
So cool. I was like, holy shit. I would watch a sequel set in the 90s. Like, these characters look so sick. Haley Steinfeld is like, got a lollipop with like some sunglasses and like a high ponytail. Just quick note, Haley Steinfeld, sexiest role she's ever taken on in Sinners. Like I've always thought of her as kind of like a child because she came onto the scene in True Grit where she played like
she was great in that movie.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges. But she's like, you know, very sexy in this movie.
Academy Award nominee,
that's right. And basically they say like, what's up, Preacher Boy? If you want, we could turn you into a vampire and you can live forever. Do you want to do that? And you can just keep playing the blues?
And he's like, nah.
Preacher Boy's like, nah, I'm good. And I think that has to do with like, you know, in that scene, Stack and Mary kind of represent like what happens if you quote unquote sell out.
Big business.
Yeah. Like they're the moguls. You
Yep.
know what I mean? The path that Preacher Boy ended up taking was a little bit more nuanced. And he was like, I would rather keep my individual voice to myself and like do what I love. But then Stack actually expresses some remorse. He's like, I actually miss your blues music before you turned everything into like an electric guitar. Can you play it like the old way? And he asks Preacher Boy to like play something on the acoustic guitar the way that he did back in the 30s.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like Coogler is both Preacher Boy and Stack in this scenario, right? Like he wants to get back to like what felt like was real to him, the true art, you know?
Yep.
And he's just pulled between these commercial and artistic directions. So to me, like that post-credit scene really added to my interpretation of the film, because Stack is a vampire, an immortal vampire. He could have just killed, murdered everybody in that club, you know what I mean? But instead of doing that, because importantly, the leader of this like cult-like vampire group is actually killed by smoke towards the end of the film. So Stack and Mary survive, but it was really just like that one specific vampire, the Irish guy, who was like trying to start this cult commune thing.
Got it. Okay.
And Mary and Stack are kind of doing their own thing now that they have been immortalized. It took me a really long time to try and figure out what the vampires represented. Like on first watch, I was like, this is a little bit confused.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to have to chew on that in such a big budget film, you know?
I sort of wish that I now had finished the film because I didn't really see it going in that kind of direction. My thought of the vampires was sort of like, you can join us and assimilate into our society, you know, because I'm basing this off of the first 3 vampires that I saw, which was...
Yes.
I forget what his actual name was in the film, but Jack O'Connor. And then the 2 rednecks that he, like, turned when he sought refuge in their house. The Klans people. Yeah. Or, like, you can go and get killed by being black in the South. Like, it was like, okay, like, they're also terrible. Like, and I remember the object focus on the Klan's robe when he was seeking refuge in the home, and I thought that he was like, oh, goody, these are my people. And the way that they approached the club, and they were like, they seemed innocent at first, but there was just like a slight edge to them, just reminded me of a lot of like microaggressions I've experienced, you know? And so I was like, oh god, these people are just want to turn all the, you know, just want to kill all the black people, basically, you know? That's why I thought that they came there. So I think if I had like watched the full film, I probably would have a deeper understanding. But too scary, too gory.
And it did get pretty gory. And it also is like, during that scene where he turns the 2 Klans people, he literally is like, there's this big like guitar riff where it's like, bom, 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 and it like shows a shot of the full moon, and it's like, oh shit, we're in Dracula now. We're now in a vampire movie. You know?
Was very Nosferatu.
It's like a hard turn. Yeah.
Ugh.
I think what actually happened there was that the vampire was looking for this juke joint, and maybe he knew that Klansmen would know where that was, because remember the whole like premise of this is that Smoke and Stack bought this lumber building,
the old
from
mill.
A Grand Duke or something, and the plan was that this Grand Duke would then come by later and like murder all of the people there.
Wait, I think they're called Grand Wizards.
Grand Wizards, whatever it's called. Yeah,
whatever crazy nonsense.
I'm thinking of whatever's. There's a guy named Duke who is a Grand Wizard, I think.
You know what's crazy to me about the Klan is that I mean, like a lot of things, obviously, but they like appropriate so many of the like folksy and magical thinking of the people that they see, you know, they pretend to hate. It's just so fascinating to me.
I have one last thing maybe to come back to, which is the name of the film.
Yes.
Sinners.
Let's talk about it.
So Preacher Boy obviously is the son of a preacher.
Preacher boy, all about that preaching boy.
And as you mentioned at the beginning of the film, he's kind of like returning after this horrible ordeal at the juke joint to church, where his father is giving a sermon.
Yeah.
The father is like, relinquish your obsession with this guitar and all this rock music that's evil and like Satan, you know what I mean? And of course, Preacher Boy is like holding the neck of the guitar that he used to smash over the vampire's head.
Yep.
The kind of underlying question is like, is he going to give it up to walk the straight and narrow? You know what I mean? Like, be what his father wants him to be, just be like a good child of a preacher.
The son of a preacher man.
And the question is like, why would he, after going through this like deeply traumatic experience, still cling to the art? And I think like an underlying message of this film is the reason why creatives do what they do. And I think why a lot of people have these like self-destructive tendencies of like going out, dancing with people, sleeping with people who they're not in a relationship with, like cheating on their partners, playing music, making art that's subversive and maybe like aggressive in some cases, right? Why do people do this? And the argument is that it's because you feel free for that night. The whole concept of
Okay.
this juke joint is that like you can just have a space for someone to feel free for one Saturday night, and then that's a way to escape from like the horrible sharecropper in this specific context, this horrible like oppressive sharecropper capitalist society that they have to endure.
Right. That makes sense.
And that's specific to that context, but I think that you and I, or anybody watching this film, can relate to the desire to like be free of their day-to-day and whatever difficulties they're going through.
Recession pop. Perfect example.
Exactly. And that aligns with that like transcendence of music scene towards the middle of the film.
Right.
Where it's just like a magical, like
it's like a portal.
Supernatural experience almost. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And now it makes more sense too why they were talking, like, I think twice in the first like part of the film that I watched, they like the camera panned to the sky and there was like a voiceover from either Stack or Smoke, I can't remember, and they were like, oh, what a beautiful day to be free. This is a perfect night to be free.
Mm-hmm.
Now that makes sense. Because I kept being like, what is that about? You know, because they did it twice and I'm like, I don't get it. You know?
Yeah. I think it's literally just like living is sinning.
Yeah.
Right? Like being free is sinning. And there's like a duality there.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're all sinners, I think is kind of the point of the title. And I think that's why it's called that.
Right. That makes sense. All right. I got a couple gripes that I got to get off my chest.
I can't wait to hear the gripes. Let's go.
Number one, you're telling me that these guys planned to do this whole thing, closed on that deal that day, had the liquor that they obviously stole from the Irish
sides.
and the Italians, who they hope they will blame each other. So they stole the liquor, hid it in that little jalopy on the side of the road, then bought the mill that day, then collected their friends across the Delta area that day, got people to cook for them that day, got a sign made that day, strung up all the lights that day.
Jeff, you're like, I'm at events. This is not
threw this
possible.
all together in one day. And then, by the way, also visited a gravesite and also visited with your ex-wife and shagged her in one day. You're doing all this?
Listen,
I don't know about that, Justin. It just doesn't make sense.
It's a heightened reality. This is a vampire movie, okay?
Yeah,
and
but I don't like that.
I like that it has the energy of like we're getting the gang back together, or like we're throwing one big rager. It reminded me a little bit of like Superbad or like Animal House or like even Ocean's 11, where it's like we're just throwing a big party. Who's in? You know what I mean? That the first 40 minutes had that energy. Everybody was just kind of having fun with it. They're like smoking sacker in town. And they're playing some blues music. Hell yeah, brother.
And by the way, also shot two people in broad daylight in the middle of the street. What the fuck?
That was
a lot
funny,
going
actually.
on.
I mean, that was played for laughs. Like, my audience was laughing.
Our audience laughed too. Well, my audience. He's like, oh, I didn't know this was your car. And then the other guy's just standing in the background and he shoots him in the leg too. And they're like, oh, shit.
Yeah, and he's like, you shot me in the ass. Yeah, that got a big laugh.
Yes,
big laugh.
They got a big laugh here. I didn't think it was funny.
I thought it was pretty funny. Like, this is again playing for... It's playing for broad. This is not like...
This is the 4 quadrant of it all.
Yes.
Ugh,
yes.
God, the marvel of it all. I liked
it. I liked that part.
Yeah, well, you also like Pacific Rim, but let's not talk about that again.
We can't talk about that. I didn't like it. But
okay.
That's a different story.
That's a lie. So I didn't like that. I also just felt, as I so often feel, this would have been a better executed, big idea, capital B, capital I, work if it had been like a limited series. Like
you love a limited series.
I do, because I think sometimes it's the best vehicle for storytelling, because so often things are underwritten, or conversely, go on way too long. And it's like, we don't need 5 seasons of the show. Or we didn't need a whole season of the show. The story could have been told, I think, better and more fleshed out and even more believable. This story, I think, would have been better and have like more appeal for people like me who are not drawn into horror if it had been drawn out a little bit and the realism of the world had been flushed out and it made more sense. Like if this had been done in a week, that would have made a lot more sense to me. Like, I need that part of it. Maybe that's the event planner in me who's like, this just couldn't happen.
You're literally talking, I mean, you're talking about the logistics. I feel like the world itself was actually pretty well fleshed out. Like, I remember seeing, like, the convenience store that the Choi's ran.
Loved it.
And being like, this feels really like a real lived environment. The sharecroppers taking their giant bags of cotton back to their cabins and stuff. I mean, tough, but like it felt really like a community. It felt really lived in, you know. Like,
and you know what? Somewhere Blake Lively was watching this film, and she said, "Oh, I'll have my baby shower there. My second marriage. This is where I'll get married." Anyways, yeah. For me, I think this story could have. I think I would have liked it more if it had been like a 4-part or 5-part like limited series.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely written as a film. Like, there's clearly 3 acts. Like, there's first 40 minutes. Getting the team together act, there is the party, and then there's like the bloodbath is the third act.
Yep.
So I mean, it was definitely written as a film. I think that it works pretty well. It reminded me a lot of actually like Christopher Nolan movies where like the editing is very economical and the dialogue is only like what needs to really be said. It was very tight. You know what I mean? There wasn't a ton of like
very
loose ends. Sure. Yeah, so I didn't mind it as a movie. I think that it would be more like quote unquote prestige if you were to lengthen it into like a mini series.
Yeah, I think I would have liked that. That like level, I think, of refinement, for lack of a better term, would be a lower bar of entry for people like me who are not interested or drawn in by horror genre movies or stories in general.
That's interesting because I feel like its current state as like a film is a lower bar of entry for most people. I think it's just you're talking about you specifically, somebody who's like really into prestige dramas.
That's exactly right.
Can I get a little bit more dialogue? Can I get a little bit more
like
character
I just
work?
feel like I wanted more from the people. I don't know, maybe I'm just like not a movie person. I've been thinking about this a lot because all the time people are like, oh, you gotta watch this movie. And unless it's like a very succinct story that's like, I don't know.
I think you just have specific tastes in movies. Like you like some and you don't like others.
But you know what? It's interesting. I was going to say movies that are like succinct in their story and they happen in a finite amount of time, but this literally did that. But I loved Ma and I love Superbad.
Well, those are both comedies, arguably.
Yeah, well, Ma's also a horror movie.
I would say it's like a horror comedy.
Yes, horror comedy for sure. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. This for me, this gets like an 80. I don't think it was bad.
It's not a perfect film. I agree with you on a lot of your points, actually. The film was trying to be really sexy, and there were times where it worked and times where it didn't work.
Yeah.
There were some times where it was like, this is feeling a little weird. Like, why are we... I don't know. It came off as a little bit forced.
What about the cunnilingus discussion?
Yeah, exactly. Like, that was one of the
to
examples that I think will be polarizing. Sack is kind of giving Preacher Boy advice on cunnilingus, basically.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Preacher Boy later on, that's foreshadowing for when Preacher Boy then, executes during the party.
Mm-hmm. On the married woman. Ooh, scandal.
Yes. Sinners,
Sinners are we all. Yeah, that was odd. He's talking ice cream. The same amount of pressure you lick an ice cream cone with. I was like, what the fuck? I literally like chuckled and was the only person who did. And I looked around and was like, is everybody else like turned on by this?
It's not. Odd. I don't think that wasn't supposed to be like sexy. I think it's just supposed to be like they're bonding. And like, this is pre-internet, pre-anything. Like, how do you learn about this stuff? You talk about it.
Talk.
That's not locker room talk.
It's not?
In the parlance of how we use that phrase now, given recent events and current administration.
I don't know street. Well, not that, but boys will be boys.
Well, that's what I mean. It's used as a euphemism for, when people were trying to cover up the grab 'em by the pussy line, they were like, that's just locker room talk.
Yeah,
and that was like a euphemism to cover up what was actually like
obvious assault.
Yes.
Obvious rape. Yes.
So I agree. Yeah, we agree. In today's day and age, obviously, you might not have a conversation like this with somebody because there's like a million other ways that you get this information before you have to like be told by like your cousin how to give head. Yeah. But in the 30s, that's the only way you find out.
That's
you know
true.
What I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think it was more just a bonding thing. And then there was actually a cheer in my theater when Preacher Boy was walked in on by, I think it was Stack.
Come on.
Stack's like, oh, he's busy. And then everybody was like, woo! I was like, damn.
That's Marvel.
Haley Steinfeld, as I mentioned, was pretty sexy in this film. That part worked for me, where she had been turned and then is trying to seduce Stack on the dance floor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I see it. I get it.
Also playing into the like trope of vampires being like temptress.
Vampire stories always about sex.
Always about sex. Twilight.
And I think here it's the temptation to sell out, right? And that is paralleled by the way that Mary is seducing Stack.
Yeah. I agree. Well, we talk Sinners.
We did. It was a very interesting film. Why don't we take a quick break and then we'll be right back with our What's Goods.
Okie doke.
And we're back.
We're back, Justin. Wow. We had quite a wide-ranging conversation.
Yeah, pretty impressive runtime given you only watched half the movie.
Pretty impressive. We talked daffodils. We talked Easter. And as we both know and believe, Christ is risen. We talked Harry Potter and Notorious Turf, J.K. Rowling.
Mm-hmm.
We talked Katy Perry and Gayle King blasting off into quote-unquote space. We didn't talk about this, though. What about all the people online who are convinced that the whole thing is fake? Have you seen this?
I mean, no, I'm not like, really in the TikTok
so
or YouTube comments.
This is so crazy. Justin, I think I scrolled through I had to go down the rabbit hole a little bit. You
don't have to.
No, I did, because I just need to understand how insane people are. I think there was at least 20 videos and an absurd amount of comments, as I'm sure you already know, about how it was obviously fake, shot in a studio, it looked like AI, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, dear God, we're really in a bad way. I don't know if we come back from this.
This is the bad place.
The robots will kill us all. So we talked about how the robots will kill us all. And we talked about vampires, racism, belonging, hive minds. Cunnilingus, and how to do it. Justin took copious notes. I saw his little pen over there scribbling so quick. And now it's time, Justin, to talk about what's good.
Well, Geoff, I'm going to talk about a book today.
Oh my! Back to books.
That's right. I've had a bit of a slow start to 2025. I've been reading some stuff that I'm not a big fan of.
Like what? Name them.
I'd rather not.
Okay.
This book is called Where the Axe is Buried. It's a new book that just came out last month. Actually, this month, at the beginning of April.
Oh, wow. Hardcover reader.
Yeah, and it's by Ray Naylor, who is an up-and-coming sci-fi author who I'm a huge fan of. His previous novel was called The Mountain and the Sea. I also really highly recommend that one. This book, put this in a little bit of context. Some people like to deal with traumatic current events by escaping. Other people like to deal with those things by trying to read something that helps you understand and internalize what's happening. I'm one of the latter people. I was the guy watching Contagion when COVID happened.
Yeah, I remember.
What I mean? So I'm always big into just I need to internalize this and figure out how to think about this. Otherwise, I'm going to go insane. So Ray Naylor actually has a really interesting career trajectory. He most recently, I think, worked for NOAA, the weather agency in the U.S., and he was also in the Foreign Service for a long time, and he spent a lot of time in Eastern Europe. So he's had a lot of interactions with folks who were members of countries that were part of the USSR before its collapse. Mm-hmm. And this book, there's a lot of things that he learned during that time that are present in this book. It's about a near future universe where there is a country called the Federation, which is an obvious analog to Russia, a super totalitarian regime that is run by a dictator whose mind gets ported from body to body. So it's essentially like an immortal leader that is never relinquishing power. And he rules over this like Orwellian police state where everybody is monitored at all times. If you dissent, like you are not able to leave a certain radius around your house. If you speak openly against this dictator, like you can't even leave your apartment, right? And then at a certain point, you get like taken to a labor camp until you die, essentially. It's like this horrible dystopian world. Obviously based on like the Putin regime in Russia. Although, you know, rise in authoritarianism all across the world at this point. On the flip side, there's also what is called the Union in this world, which is basically the European Union. This organization is run by a set of AI prime ministers. So at some point in this world, they were like, humans can't make the difficult decisions about like energy or like taxes. It's too divisive. So we need to like rationalize our societies and put AIs in charge, like robots.
Oh, God.
And so all of these like Western countries now have AI prime ministers that are in charge of governments. And supposedly this is better than the Federation, than this like totalitarian option, right? But really this is more of like a Brave New World, like Huxleyan, if you remember that novel, type of dystopia.
I do not.
So this is a type of dystopia where the people are so like distracted by like media and other things that they don't actually care about the underlying government, and they're distracted enough that like basic services provided by government are constantly being diminished, and like you're constantly being berated by like ads that are specifically targeted to you because you're constantly being surveilled by advertising companies and stuff like that. So this book is like very critical of both like authoritarian governments like Russia of today and of like neoliberal governments like we see in like Europe that are just constantly, you know, we're increasingly like in a technocratic state where we're being constantly surveilled by tech companies, and our governments are not doing a great job of providing basic services for us.
Mm-hmm.
Neither are really great scenarios. It has a lot of interplay between these two forms of government and how people are constantly fighting back against these two forms of government. The core thesis of this book is that like democracy is a constant argument between people and their beliefs, and that taking that away completely by creating like a hyper stable government, like in the world of this book, that's like with an AI, takes away people's like freedom and actually undermines democracy. And authoritarianism is hard in the other direction, where it's like complete lockdown on any other dissenting ideals, also removing the argument part of this, right? The name Where the Axe is Buried is based on like a proverb. You know, there's that statement of like, you know, we got to bury the axe to kind of like squash the beef, right? And then I guess that somebody who's not a native English speaker asked, yeah, but where's the axe buried? So that I know where to go get it if I need to pick it back up again, right? Like the axe is never really buried is kind of the message. And this is both like a cynical observation because it's like conflict is inevitable and will always happen. But it's also kind of hopeful because no matter how oppressive an authoritarian regime is, people will always go looking for the axe. You know, it's like a part of our human nature to fight back against oppression. So it was like a very realistic take coming from somebody who has like witnessed authoritarianism and the consequences of it in person, and also like a hopeful one. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. The plot, which I guess I haven't really talked about much, is essentially that there's this scheme I mentioned how the dictator in the Federation's brain has been transferred from body to body. Mm-hmm. There's a scheme to kind of swap out his brain with the brain of a revolutionary who was a dissenter of his. Okay. To kind of like sneak in a revolution under the Federation's nose. Sure. And there's like spy versus spy stuff going on. It's very like a Blade Runner, bit of a techno thriller, if you will. That's kind of like the underlying plot.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
And it's in the background of this like conversation about authoritarianism versus democracy. So really interesting read, pretty short, easy read, honestly, despite those kind of heady themes that I was just talking about. But it really is helping me kind of wrap my head around everything going on at the world at the moment. Sorry, that was a bit of a long one, but the book is called Where the Axe is Buried by Ray Naylor.
And how long is it? Because you said it's a short read.
Yeah, it's like 300 pages, 330 pages.
I think we got different ideas of what short reads
These
are.
But okay. Hold on, let me show you a page. This took me like a week to read.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the typeface is kind of large.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because it's a hardcover book.
Right.
little bit larger in format.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, Geoff.
Yeah.
That was my What's Good. I would love to know what you're listening to at the juke joint this week, Geoff.
What I'm listening to at the juke joint this week is a song that came out, about a year ago that I've just discovered.
Okay.
It's called Run Your Mouth by the Marias. The Marias is a LA-based band. It's 4 people. The members of this band are Maria Zardayova, who's the lead vocalist. Then Josh Conway, who's on drums, percussion, keyboards. Jesse Perlman, guitar. And Edward James, who also is a keyboardist and synthesizer player. They have a really interesting sound. They've done 2 studio albums. This song, Run Your Mouth, is off of their latest album from 2024 called Submarine. And Run Your Mouth is a really fun kind of funk pop song.
Okay.
When we talk about everything that happened, I'd rather sit around.
It's basically a lamentation of wanting to be left alone and not wanting to really have contact with a former lover or any people that you're currently surrounded by. But what I really like about it is that the lyrical qualities of the song belie the like upbeat, chill funk vibes of the music. So I always love when there's like a little bit of distance between like what's being said and what you hear. It's like one of those songs you can like sadly like bop to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a lot of songs like that. There's that meme where it's like the music and it's like happy vibes, and it's like the lyrics and it's like depression vibes.
Yeah, very much that.
Yeah.
I really like the song. It doesn't seem to have like a ton of play. I've asked a couple people that I know if they've heard of the Marias, and they had not. I listened to some of their other songs on this album, Submarine, and I thought that they were like, okay, pretty good. But I really, really love this song, Run Your Mouth. It's a pretty short song. I think it's like 2 minutes and 40 something seconds, which, I like because I have the attention span of a goldfish. And the music video for the song is really fun. It's like shot in square format and it has sort of a vintage aesthetic. It looks like something that might have come out like in the mid 90s. It's lots of like metallic backgrounds, bright primary colors is what they're wearing. It's like the lead singer, Maria, like writhing around on the floor of the stage, the sound stage where the music, or where the band is performing. And then like far off, I would say iconic looking shots that actually kind of remind me of TLC and Destiny's Child.
I was just looking at the music video and it reminds me a lot of those like mid 2000s or maybe early 2000s, late 90s music videos. Like,
yeah,
it has a retro feel for sure from that era.
Yeah, and they sound sort of like if Dua Lipa on Future Nostalgia, Evanescence, and like Haim like had a baby. That's how I would describe the music. It's really kind of cool. It's different. I haven't really heard anything that sounds like it before. Really enjoying it. So Run Your Mouth by the Marias is what's good for me this week.
Nice. I'll give that a listen.
It's a good one. I think you'll like it. Well, Justin, this has been a great episode.
It's been a great episode. Thanks for chatting Sinners with me, and thanks for stomaching, half of the film. You made it before most of the bloodshed happened, but
we
glad you
did it,
did.
Joe.
Yeah.
Well, that's all.
That's all for now.
Bye.
Bye.
This has been Bants with Geoff and Justin. Bants is created and produced by Geoff Taylor and Justin Benavidez. Graphic design by Geoff Taylor and editing by Justin Benavidez. The theme music for Bants is The Track Nebraska With You by Sam Day and is provided by No Copyright Sounds. Email us at bantspod@gmail.com with questions, recommendations, or to say hi. And if you like the podcast, rate and review us on Apple or Spotify and tell your friends. Bye!
See ya. On the flip side, there's also what is called the Union in this world, which is basically the European Union. Let me try that again. Which is basically the I can't say European. Jesus Christ. Which is basically the European Union.